Of course, it's clear that we now have to talk about the difficult situation as far as peace and security in Europe is concerned, as you have already done with my French counterpart. But I'm glad that this is now possible and that we can talk about it, because the most important thing is that we solve relations between states through good talks with each other, and that this is the way it happens.
Well, covering all the news for us today from Moscow is correspondent Felix Light. We can talk to him right now. And Felix, we'll come back to what Olaf Scholz said in a moment. But let's start, first of all, with what's happening on the ground. What more can you tell us about this apparent pullback of Russian forces?
Well, it remains to be seen, I think, to what extent Russia is withdrawing its forces. We've seen sort of for the last 3 months really quite substantial Russian numbers on that border with Ukraine, anything between around 100,000 and 140,000 troops there. So serious numbers. Now, we simply don't know how many troops are going back now, but this is sort of grounds for cautious optimism, as it has been said by Jens Stoltenberg of NATO. But I think also what's very important is that this does align and cohere very strongly with what we heard from Putin last night. Putin sort of convened a meeting with his foreign minister and his defense minister about the situation, and they sort of reported to him that diplomacy was the way to go ahead, and that limited numbers of troops would be removed from Belarus in particular. We'll remember that military exercises in Belarus had caused major concern in Ukraine and the West. So I think there is sort of a faint picture towards sort of normalization and a level of de-escalation emerging now. But it's a very, very mixed picture in Moscow today because, of course, we're also getting news that the Russian parliament is voting to recognize the breakaway Russian states in the Donbass. So there are very many sort of mixed signals today, and we will have to follow this story closely as it unfolds further.
Is it a coincidence, Felix, that this apparent pullback of some troops from the border is happening as the German Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, is in Moscow today for talks designed to find a diplomatic solution to all of this?
Well, I think certainly, if any European country can kind of prevail on the Russians to step back from the brink, as it were, it would be Germany. Germany has very strong sort of political and commercial ties to Moscow. Of course, Scholz's immediate predecessor, Angela Merkel, was extremely well respected in Moscow, despite her sparring on regular occasions with Putin. But we will really have to see sort of what these meetings reveal. Of course, sort of the European record of diplomacy in this crisis has not been a particularly inspiring one. The visit of President Macron to Moscow was very inconclusive, and the visit of British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss to Moscow was frankly hostile. So it seems unlikely that we'll be seeing any big breakthroughs here. Throughout this crisis, the Russians have really sort of made their bet on sort of direct diplomacy with America rather than with Europe as a way out of the crisis. And we'll have to see whether sort of Chancellor Scholz can really break that cycle today in Moscow.
Felix Light for us there live in Moscow. Thanks very much indeed for your reporting this hour.